when uranium moves, it moves quickly.
That's right, and you got to be in when it moves or you miss the lion's share of the gains.
Absolutely.
So some things are starting to dovetail nicely. You mentioned the Section 232 petition. We should get a report on that. Hi, Nick Hodge with the Outsider Club. I'm sitting down with Jordan Trimble. He's the CEO of Skyharbour Resources. It trades on the TSX under the ticker SYH, in the United States under the ticker SYHBF. Jordan, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
We're in San Francisco at the Precious Metal Summit, the Gold and Silver Summit. Why is a uranium company here?
That's a good question. Well, there's a few uranium companies here, and we've been coming ever since Marin got involved. Marin's been a cornerstone investor, him and his fund, from day one when we started the company about 5.5 years ago, and we've got lots of shareholders here, and it's been a great conference so far.
And can we spend just a couple of seconds letting the readers, listeners know what Skyharbour is, what you're all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a high-grade uranium exploration and development company with projects in the Athabasca Basin, northern Saskatchewan. So the Saudi Arabia, if you will, of uranium, the highest grade depository in the world. So we spent a number of years putting together a project portfolio. We're still out there looking at new opportunities, but a total of 6 projects now scattered throughout the Athabasca Basin at various stages of exploration. We have a flagship project called Moore that we're drilling at right now, and we have high-grade drill results, as you're well aware, from that project over the last few years, including 21% U3O8 over 1.5 meters, within 6% over 6 meters. So very nice high-grade mineralization, relatively shallow. We're looking to expand a resource there, and this time next year, hopefully have a maiden resource estimate out. We have 5 other projects that we're employing prospect generator model on to bring in strategic partners to help advance and fund the exploration at those projects. Most notably did a deal with Orano, previously called Areva, out of France, $8 million earn-in over 6 years to acquire 70% of that project. And then one of our other largest shareholder and strategic shareholder, that is Denison Mines. They own just under 10% of the company, and the president and CEO, Dave Cates, is on our board. So a good, strong management and technical team. My head geologist, who Rick Kazmersky, yep. Radioactive Rick, as we call him, he's been doing this for over 40 years, looking for high-grade uranium in the Athabasca Basin.
So you have a flagship project, you're in one of the best uranium jurisdictions in the world, and you're also doing the prospect generator model. I want to come back to that and see what you guys are up to, but first tell me, why should the market care? Where are we with uranium? I think we're at 27 and change on the spot price, but you know, it's been slow going. We've seen some supply curtailments, and I just like your take on the macro markets.
Yeah, absolutely. So a year ago at this conference, it was really, I think, one of the turning points, inflection points, if you will, for the commodity. We saw a number of pretty major supply cuts over the last 1.5 years, starting with Kazakhstan and then Cameco, the largest publicly traded uranium mining company in the world, shutting down the largest uranium mine in the world at MacArthur, and then Kazakhstan continuing to make cuts. Some of the largest
mines at that.
And exactly, we're talking about the lowest cost, lowest quartile, the cost curve here being basically shut down. So that's telltale. That just shows you that this price is not sustainable. It's unsustainably low, and the supply side has finally responded to it. What's happened since this time last year, we've seen new financial buyers, new demand come in. Yellowcake out of London, exactly, 200 million that they raised. They bought 8.1 million pounds directly from Kazatomprom, taking that out of the market. We've seen now Tribeca, we've seen now Cameco announce that they're buying between 11 to 15 million pounds in the spot market to fulfill their contract. So new buying coming in, and this has tightened up the spot market. So we've seen the spot price trade up from $21 earlier this year to almost $28 right now. But again, the average global cost of production is much, much higher. So we're still at a relatively low price. I think with some more demand coming in, again, we have Yellowcake that can buy up to $100 million each year for the next 9 years. They have the option to do that. I think we're going to see more buyers coming in. What's going to get interesting, though, we talk about this quite a bit, 232, I think once the ruling comes down here, U.S. utilities will get off. They've been sitting on their hands. They haven't been contracting. Once the ruling comes down there, they'll have some guidance, clarity on what to do, and I think you see them come back because a lot of their contracts are rolling off in the near term. They'll come back to the market, and that's really what drives the price of uranium. It's contracting. It's the main buyer, which are nuclear utilities, contracting for the long term.
So let me ask you this. It's a bit of a curveball. If Cameco can't make it with MacArthur and they put MacArthur on care and maintenance, why does the world need, or why does the market, or why should the market care about juniors, explorcos, or assets that are undeveloped if developed assets can't make it?
The simple answer is, and put it very simply, I'd much rather be an exploration or development company right now than a producer, for the simple reason that if you're a producer like a Cameco, right, it's a tough time, right? You're having to shut assets, mines down and turn these production centers off simply because you're not making money, right? So for us, we're looking at the next cycle. We're looking at the next bull market, if you will. Our projects are at a stage where going in to a rising tide will benefit from that. We aren't producing, right? So we'll benefit from that rising tide. You look at Cameco, right? They made the tough decision to shut down MacArthur because the economics simply aren't there. It's more economic for them to buy in the spot market and sell into their long-term contracts. You don't find MacArthur rivers or Cigar Lakes every other day, so there's no point in burning through these high-quality pounds in the ground. Save the ore, right? So look, it's been a tough go, as we all know, but I really do think we saw the bottom put in late 2016. We've seen the price start to strengthen from there, but there's a lot of tailwinds that are forming for this commodity, and as we've seen in previous cycles, when uranium moves, it moves quickly. That's
right, and you got to be in when it moves or you miss the lion's share of the gains.
Absolutely.
So some things are starting to dovetail nicely. You mentioned the Section 232 petition. We should get a report on that early next year, and then a decision by the president maybe by April is sort of the timeline I'm hearing. So that's sort of like a nice 6-month window there. What can we expect from Skyharbour in that 6-month window?
Yeah, so we're really doing our best to position the company for this, what we believe rising uranium tide or market. We have a lot of drilling planned in the new year, over 10,000 meters that will likely carry out between us and our partner companies. So our flagship we're just wrapping up a summer-fall program. We'll have some news out on that between now and year end, but we will then plan for a winter program likely to commence in February or March of next year. So look for news flow coming out on that. And then as well, our partner companies, Orano at Preston and Azincourt at East Preston, both planning for exploration and drill programs early in the new year as well. So lots of exploration news flow coming, irons in the fire, if you will, this good discovery potential. And much like we've seen with other successful discoveries in the basin, NextGen, Fission, Hathor, this is what really moves share prices, right? This is the main catalyst. We are also looking at bringing in other partners on some of our other projects, much like we've done with Orano and Azincourt. We have a big project base. We want to employ prospect generator strategy to make sure these projects don't just sit there and collect dust, that they are being worked. And I do think going into a better uranium market, some of these near-term catalysts, the company's well positioned and the shareholders will be well positioned to take advantage of it.
Well, Jordan, a lot going on. Section 232, supply curtailments. We'll be watching the price of uranium. We'll be watching Skyharbour stock, and we appreciate the update.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jordan.